Good morning and welcome to the Cost Accounting Netflix presentation by Team E. My name is Oscar and I'm working in a team with my lovely team members who are Teresa, Jacobo, Sabrina, Zainab, and Sergio. We will start with a little introduction to Netflix, which will be followed by their organizational structure, strategy, cost concepts, and in the end, cost and management accounting. In 1997, the revolutionary media streaming and video rental company Netflix was founded by Reed Hastings and Mark Randolph. Netflix has started off by sending DVDs to people, which they ordered on their website. When the user was done watching the movie, they would simply send them back to Netflix. As they started in Scotts Valley, California, it took until 2007 until the company hit their biggest peak when streaming was introduced until then. Today, with over 195 million subscribers, they offer a wide range of movies, shows, with some of them being produced even by themselves. To entertain the world has been Netflix's mission statement ever since, while to continue being one of the leading firms of the internet entertainment era, being their leading vision statement. Judgment, communication, curiosity, courage, passion, selflessness, innovation, inclusion, integrity, and impact are daily core values of Netflix in order to sharpen their sense of of what's right or wrong in the company. The market disruption has caused a clear decline in cable services, as there has been a new and revolutionary shift in the way people consume and watch content. The lower prices and variety of offers have changed the industry. The disruption occurred by the offer to pay a low price for a batch of movies and TV shows instead of paying the same price for just one movie. Additionally, their business model has moved the industry more online since consumers had to physically buy DVDs in stores or rent them until then. Netflix value chain are inbound and outbound logistics, operations, marketing, service, and sales. Something that added value to Netflix as an organization was the fact that the DVD business was still at its peak, was the capacity to view the need of an online streaming service. Inbound logistics have a strong relationship to the developer, which is Warner and Bros., in order to compete and access the new streaming titles with lower acquisition costs. A cloud architecture system is used to build up an automatic connection to the user's device, leading to an increase in efficiency while ensuring competitive success. In terms of the outbound logistics, the services of the business are included 24-hour customer service, easy access, and title suggestions. Moreover, as Netflix is a digital service, the supply chain is not as usual, as it doesn't have any manufacturing or of a tangible good, and it's the process of a movie show being produced, checked, and transferred to the app before it can be watched.
Hi guys, I'm here to talk to you about Netflix human resources. As of 2019, Netflix had 8,600 workers, and one of the sayings of the business is that the company Netflix stated that values are what we value, and some of them can be high performance, freedom and responsibility, selflessness, honesty, innovation, and curiosity. Those are the ones most valued by the business and the current CEO, as they want the workers to be passionate in order to provide the best work they can do. And one of the ways the human resources are motivating workers is paying them the highest salaries as possible, because they believe that higher salaries are better than giving mediocre salaries and bonuses. And they usually give the highest salaries to those who have demonstrate the most passion for the business. Netflix current CFO is Spencer Newman, who stepped in exactly 2 years ago, back in 2019 January, when former CFO David Will left. Netflix started off, and I'm here to talk you now about briefly ethics from Netflix. Netflix started off in California back in the summer of 1997 with its current CEO, and they once they started getting bigger and gaining more money, they decided to start donating. The first donations were across the state of California to different schools with lack of financial support. During Netflix existence, CEO Reed Hastings has donated over $120 million in order to support Black colleges and universities, to show their support against for these universities, and to keep providing them with documentaries. Moreover, Netflix has recently announced last Wednesday a future donation which will sum up to $40 million for more educational institutes by providing DVDs, movies, obviously for elementary kids, documentaries for them to learn and give them a better chance. Here we have a picture of CEO Reed Hastings and a tweet of the 40 million gift from Patty Quillen and Reed Hastings, given to the Dovey Jones and Run the Tree Presidential Scholarship. And finally, I'm here to talk to you too about the key success factors. The key success factors, which are the main three, are streaming and real-time content, which is streaming video where customers can watch videos anytime, no matter where they are and no matter what they want to watch. And this is useful for them because customers are attracted to it, since they have the opportunity to make use of the service wherever they want, wherever they are. The main big one is big data analytics, which is that Netflix is allowed to go through the shows that we watch and relate them to other shows we might like, which is easy and comfortable for the viewer because it allows us to choose a new show we want to watch once we finish one that we've already watched, and without making any effort by ourselves. And finally, the single system of engagement. There is 1,000 genres on the platform, allowing greater range of options in order to look for the adequate show or movie for each customer, which is
Netflix is a video-on-demand streaming service company. It has over 195 million paying subscribers, 73 of which are in the United States alone. They have a wide variety of users, but most of them are between the ages of 18 and 34 and are working and busy, so do not have time to keep up with their favorite shows on TV. So they use Netflix to choose for themselves. They aim to attract new families by creating a wide supply of family-friendly content and allowing for parents to create child restrictions. What makes Netflix successful is a variety of different factors, some of which are, for example, its branding. Netflix has made it so that most people recognize its brand with only a logo or even a color or a sound, and that's very important and profitable. They always focused in a very customer-centric business strategy, with, for example, the use of chaos engineering, where they always have at least 3 data centers running to redirect traffic between them to ensure that there are no server crashes. They implement a free month trial and an easy cancellation policy together with their 3 different subscription plans to be able to adjust to the customer's needs and create new customers with very little commitment. As my colleague mentioned, they have a very strong artificial intelligence algorithm that recommends about 80% of what we watch and reduces the time spent browsing exponentially. Netflix created its first original content in 2013 with their TV show House of Cards, but they didn't become a film studio until 2019. This is a very important factor, given that they're moving away from licensing, which can be very short-term and expensive, into original content that has proven to be very popular. Netflix started this expansion policy in 2010 in Canada and in 2011 worldwide when it proved so popular. Licensing content and creating a local content has been very important to Netflix as it likes to infiltrate the cultures it is in. They spent $5 billion on it alone in 2016. They also made huge efforts in translating as much content as they can and partnering with local firms to create a very smooth transition. In recent years, international expansion has been crucial, and international users are now about 63% of total users. they have a lot of remaining opportunities unexploited. Like they only control 5% of the entertaining systems in India, while India is the second most important internet market. So I think they have a lot of opportunities remaining for the future, even if growth in the US has slowed down due to increasing competition from Prime, Hulu, or HBO.
Hi, everyone. First, we are going to address the different cost concepts that we find within Netflix. The first one to consider are indirect costs, costs that are not directly accountable to the cost of producing a Netflix's product or service, such as marketing, technology, which is very important, as my colleagues mentioned before, development costs, and finally, general and administrative costs. It is worth noting that recently Netflix has increased its budget for marketing in 68%. Then we find direct costs, in other words, costs that relate to the production of shows or movies, including the buying of licenses. We are also to differentiate between variable and fixed costs. Variable costs in Netflix are, for example, those relating to marketing, since this depends on the new releases the company decides to make or the amount of promotion that the company wants to make at a given time. It is also very interesting, or I found very interesting, that the production of movies itself is also a variable cost. Netflix's subcontracts production companies to produce their original content. So although this is produced by Netflix, the employees paid for this are hired exclusively for the production of specific shows. In order to keep costs low, they have started to create even more original content, as the price of licenses has been recently skyrocketing. They've done this by producing either foreign original series, which are cheaper to produce by local team members, or low-cost English series. And this practice or this strategy has not had an impact in their demand at the end of the day. On the other hand, fixed costs would be those employees working in their administrative teams, technological costs, the rent of their facilities around the world, etc. Now, let's talk about how Netflix manages its debt. The production of content is very expensive, and assets are paid in full when the asset is made available to the public. The shift towards the production of more original content means that fixed costs are accounted years before they become revenue. So new production requires a lot of cash for its funding. So capital in Netflix is consumed very quickly, making it an unprofitable company to this day. Just for you to see, since 2011, the company has maintained a debt to asset ratio of between 74 and 81%. Now, short-term content obligations keeps increasing, although the proportion of total content obligations is decreasing as debt load is being shifted from licensing to bond emissions. In other words, long-term debt used for financing original content. Therefore, their strategy has been to produce as many shows as possible by utilizing debt and so attracting more customers, motivating its expansion. In addition, owned content assets can be exploited into the future, which makes this strategy, I believe, a very clever strategy. Thank you.
So Zeynep and I are now going to be talking about cost management and accounting at Netflix. Here you can see some general facts. First of all, Netflix has reported negative cash flow since 2011, which is because of the new strategy they went for, which is spending heavily to finance growth through the production of original entertainment and content. However, they also reported their first positive cash flow during the first 3 quarters of 2020, since they benefited a lot from the COVID-19 outbreak. Furthermore, we can say that the revenue grows faster than the content costs, and the content is expected to be earned over a 5-year lifespan, so it's not amortized directly. Here we can see we can see that mainly Netflix net revenue comes from the United States and Canada, and generally a segment breakdown. So, unlike many other media companies, Netflix business plan is quite different. They do not sell advertisement space on its site, nor do they sell its user data. The only source of revenue is the subscriptions, and through which they offer a wide range of movies and television programs. Through self-producing, they don't only face content like lower cost, but also they gain ownership of the intellectual property, which allows them to merchandise and licensing, which is also beneficiary for them. The self-production then, since they gain greater rights flexibility, such as global rights and exclusivity. Furthermore, the content is amortized on a straight line basis, and they always expect 90% to be amortized during the first 4 years. Talk shows and similar shows are amortized and expenses upon airing. As I mentioned before, Netflix reported positive cash flow in 2020. Then, thanks to the corona and the social distancing and home confinement, we can see that the net income rose to 18.7%, and the revenue rose to 22.7%. Here we can see the different kinds of content Netflix has, such as owned, which they do in their own production studio, such as Stranger Things, Bird Box, Dark. Other shows which have been licensed, such as House of Cards, and second-run movies in TV shows, which means that are with the broadcast TV company in cooperation.
So now we talk about streaming content accounting standards. We can see that Netflix has used two guides, one named AAC 920. It was for entertainment broadcasting, and it was essentially only for licensed content. Then Netflix has used also AAC 926. It was for entertainment films, and it was used for original content, as Sabrina said before. Self-producing includes lower cost, that's their conclusion. Also, as Netflix is a service company, its assets present an amortization process. The amortization is generally on an accelerated basis. Also, at Netflix, there is like an estimated period of use or a rule of 10 years of availability of its content. But we can see that over 80% of licensed or produced streaming content asset is expected to be amortized within 4 years after its months of availability. Also, we can see that Netflix has to deal with management accounting. And here we will see all the things that will help Netflix to do it. We have decision making, planning, organizing, understanding financial data, identifying business problem areas, strategic management, and also controlling business operations. That's how management accounting is so important in Netflix. Finally, we'll talk about cancellation policy. So we can see that Netflix has a rule of 3-season threshold, which means that the cost of more cost efficient for Netflix to distribute a more diverse content than investing in the same show, which means that it is more expensive to invest in the same show than doing a whole other series. And then we have also 67% of renewal rate, which means that they have measured the cost of viewership and the cost of renewal, which means that they concluded that they order straight to series in the first rather than make pilots, which results sometimes in more seasons, one cancellations. Finally, the key takeaways. First of all, the mission of Netflix has always been entertain the world and becoming the leader in streaming platforms.
Furthermore, we can see that self-production is not only more cost efficient, but also allows them to license their merchandise through which they can gain even more revenue.
Main source of revenue are the subscription of all the followers from all around the world, especially United States and Canada.
Thanks for watching.